So students who are joining in, please go ahead and fill out the pre-survey. It's in the Geoscience folder. And you will see on the very top is the link to that. And then we will get started with the lab at 3:15. Hey, someone phone I can hear. If you are joining in, please please go ahead and do the pre-survey quickly, and then we will start around 3:15. You have to do the pre-survey before the lab. You cannot do it afterwards. And then you are put in for a $25 Amazon card, gift card. Also, guys, go ahead and download if you have finished the the pre-survey, and go ahead and download. There are 3 documents to download from the folder: a PDF, a Word document, and an Excel file.
Is it okay if we had printed the stuff off? I printed it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I printed it also. But you have to watch some of these things you have to measure. So make sure you have an access to a computer, or, to do some online stuff also. So I'll show you, but you have to also play around a little bit with like a Google Earth and stuff like that. So all the links.
What a pre-survey?
The pre-survey is in the folder called Geosciences. If you go to the Geosciences at the very bottom, if you go to the folder list and go to the very bottom of it, you will see the Geosciences folder. And inside that folder, the first link should be the pre-survey. Do you see it?
No, looking for it though.
Okay. So it should be in the folder, the content. If you look at the content menu, just go to the menu, the bottom of the menu of the folders that are there. And,
okay, I found it.
Okay, right. Good afternoon, Dr. Mack.
I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, sir. Students are still joining in, and they are taking the pre-survey.
Oh, okay, very good.
And we are,
I just checked in to see how things are going.
thank you for doing that.
Okay.
And
I probably will not go through the whole session.
no, you don't have to be. I'm here. That's
okay.
why.
I did get the page, the number of pages you sent. I have that. You sent it to me, and Dr. Holmes also sent it to me.
Okay. And then also they are in the folder. The students are downloading from there, and so they will be uploading it into the same folder also. So we will work together.
Okay, so they're not in the meeting yet.
They are in the meeting. They can hear us.
Oh, they can. Okay, no problem. Okay, well, I will probably mute myself or log off and do some other things.
And also, can you take a quick look at the role, because I'm not familiar with the role. So if you see the number of participants in the chat box, then you can see.
You mean go into my D2L and look at it?
No, just in the Zoom, the Zoom chat box. You can see them. If you turn around for the Zoom chat box, you will see them. I see them. I mean, there are 17 of them here.
Okay.
But that includes you and me too.
Yes, I understand. 17, yeah, includes both of us.
But look at the names. And so these are students that have joined in.
Well, there are about 18 students, so if 7, well.
Oh, is that all?
Yes, that's all.
Okay, great. Oh, I was thinking it was much bigger. No,
okay, what I will do is, you have a way of checking roll or?
Yeah, I'll do that. I mean, this is interactive, so I will be talking to the students and I'll see who is talking.
Okay, let me see more. What does it say? Chat box, okay.
And there is one student that has sent me a email. I'm going to meet with him later on.
Okay.
Because he has something, but he was proactive and told me. Okay. So guys, take three more minutes. We'll start at 3:15. Please do the pre-survey. It's not very long. And then go ahead and download the 3 documents that you need. And hopefully you have printed out. That's good. But hopefully you are have a computer stable connection, because these files might be a little bit bigger and there are some videos that you have to watch. So you need an access to a stable computer. So stable computer connection. So you can do it on the phone, and I will guide you through it. And then you will have at the end a week also to finish it, but hopefully we'll get it done today, so it doesn't carry on. I might just want to do some fine tuning with the finishing up, but let's just make sure that we stay for the ride and get it done, because that's the best way I know to get things done. I'm also going to put my information in the chat box. So if you need any help at any time, you have access to me for this lab. So I'm putting my information. My office is next to Dr. Mack's office. So office is in ACL 205. And my email is...
You're looking for my email?
No, not mine. I'm just giving them. They know you. They just don't know me. So if they need help
Okay,
with
very
this
good.
lab,
Okay.
they can, and my phone is. So you guys are most welcome to contact me if you need help with this lab, but we will get it done today, I think, if you stay put. So those are my information, and let's see if anybody else is joining late or something, or yeah, there's somebody joining in. All right, so.
Adidra, I'm going to get my roll and check.
Okay, yeah. Do it. You can do it. All right, everybody here. So everybody can hear me, see me. I am Dr. Kaur, and I am a geoscience professor here at Fort Valley State University. I'm in the chemistry department, work with Dr. Mack, Dr. Bright, Dr. Holmes, Dr. Daniels. So they are my colleagues and friends. So through a National Science Foundation grant we have, that we are exploring some new ways to bring new information to our students. So this lab is a very new, spanking new lab, like we are trying it with you guys, see, how it goes. And as I said, if you fill out the pre-survey, which you should do before we start, and fill out and post-survey after we finish, and after the lab is done, and then you are put in for a $25. There are 6 of those prizes that will be given out for Amazon cards that you qualify for once you do both the surveys. And be as candid as possible in the survey, and it's not a mandatory survey at all, so it's optional. But it's only, no names will be attached anywhere. It's just for information to do the grant work. But anyway, so I said, I'm a geoscience professor. When you think about geoscience, what comes to your mind? Somebody volunteer and tell me. Geology, geoscience, what is that?
It made me think about the world a little bit.
Okay, very good. A little bit more, maybe you can expand.
Maybe of like rocks and things like that.
Rocks, yes, I throw them. No. What else? Anything more different?
When I think about geoscience, I think about basically geography of the earth and how it correlates with each other.
Okay, that's a very good answer too. Geography and geoscience also overlap. Actually, geography is part of geoscience. Geoscience is very broad. So yeah, very good answer. Anybody else? You can't go wrong. Anything you say about geoscience, you are going to be correct. So geoscience, you will see that geoscientists, geo means what, guys? Geo means the planet Earth. So study of the ology means study of, and geo means earth, so study of the planet, our planet, basically. So anything and everything in geoscience is a very big subject, and it takes from all the subjects. So it's kind of a newer of the sciences. It's not one of the basic sciences like physics, chemistry. So I am a geochemist, and people are geobiologists, geophysicists, geochemists, geomathematicians, so geoengineers. So geo can be, and these days most sciences are mixed, so you can't sell yourself as one particular area. You have to market yourself as a broad base, and so this is where you guys can, to train you. So we will go through a lab that has been designed to get more people interested or thinking about geosciences, and we will see different things to do this. So what I'm going to do is you should go ahead and download 3 documents from the folder that is given to you. One is a PDF, one is a Word document, and one is an Excel. Do you all have access to those 3 things? 2 of them, you have to turn them in. The Word document and the Excel, you have to turn them in at the end of the lab. So make sure you have the Word document and you put your name and your wildcat email address, so we can grade this. So this should be a document that is a Word document. The other one is a very lengthy document, but it's a PDF. We will use that to do the lab. So there are instructions there. So the PDF and the Excel, I'll show you how to do the Excel at the end of the whole thing. So, and if I go too fast, or I might talk a little fast sometimes, just slow me down and just raise your hand and ask me questions, okay? Just be interactive and fun. So if you have done, let me share also with you guys, so that if you have not done it, then downloaded it, you can see it here. So let me show you the 3 documents that I'm talking about. So this is the first document will be, can you see it? I have this particular document that is a Adobe Acrobat. And so it's a PDF document. It says Harrier Meadow and Urban Wetland System Chemistry. Do you all see that on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you should have a copy of it. You can download it. So guys, let's talk about, so this is an aspect of geosciences. So wetlands, like most people think wetlands are what? Like mosquito field, dump areas. Our ex-president said, let's, drain the swamp and stuff like that. Man, the president, I tell you. But anyway, so we will find out how wetlands are so important for our preservation of ourselves, and so I went to the EPA site. EPA is Environmental Protection Agency. So they govern us with all what should be the minimum drinking standard, what should be why is Fort Valley a Superfund site, what chemicals has gone into our water system and has it been cleaned, so EPA does all these environmental regulations. So can somebody read out what are wetlands and why are they important? These 1-2 lines in the very top. Any volunteers would be great. I know somebody can. You have to pick somebody. Don't be shy. Come on. Okay, I'll read this first one. So wetlands are important features in the landscape that provide numerous beneficial services for people and for fish and wildlife. Some of these services or functions include protecting and improving water quality, providing fish, wildlife habitats, storing floodwaters, and maintaining surface water flow during dry periods. These valuable functions are the result of unique natural characteristics of wetlands. So wetlands are anything but things that are not useful. They're very useful. And so, and I gave you the link, and you can see wetlands and nature, the most productive ecosystem in the world. It is the one of the most productive ecosystem, comprising of comparable to rainforests and coral reefs. Rainforests and coral reefs are the producer of oxygen. So wetlands are very, very important part, that as important as those. An immense variety of species live there. Climate, landscape shape, the topology, geology, and the movement and abundance of water help to determine the plants and animals that inhabited each wetland. It's very complex dynamics, and you can find wetlands in Georgia, the Okefenokee Swamp, in a huge area. We have a huge coastline, 1,000 miles of coastlines, and Texas, North Carolina, Alaska, all are different kinds of wetlands. Some are in tundra, some are in tropical. So, but it is, they say that it is like a biological supermarket. So they provide great volumes of food that makes us sustain and attract many animal species. And the functions of wetland and values of other humans, are a complex set of relationships that we don't understand generally, but when we look deep, we understand, why is it important. And it plays a very big role in our life, for food, microbes, plants, migratory birds. So a lot of things goes into the wetlands. So next page, if you go to page 2 of this document, it says wetland and people. And it says, our perception is this useless, disease-ridden places, and we'll see we will be dealing with a wetland and seeing, in New York area, and you will see how we have treated that wetland into an absolute dumpster. I mean, just whatever we don't need, we dump it there, and how then it backfires on us. When we mess up nature without caring for it, it becomes a problem. So, and it creates a huge amount of revenue. It's an economic big place for fish, shellfish, blueberries, cranberries, timber, wild rice. So all these come from wetland. And then fish is the very big one. And then if you can see, the next major thing is flood protection. So as you know, the climate is changing. Storms are getting worse, or more powerful. And we don't know, like there are a lot of uncertainties that you guys have to find clues to, because it will affect your lives and your children's lives more than any prior generation. And climate has changed. As geologists, that's another thing geologists do, is look back into the geologic record. We see climate has changed, but now we see that climate is changing in our lifetime, and sea levels are rising. When sea level rises, the coasts are flooded. But these wetlands are right at that boundary between where coast is, where the sea is rising, and where people are. So if we have left these wetlands in this place, they will absorb some of these strong storm surges that come, or as the wetland comes, that's the first place that will take the hit before it hits us. So flood protection is a very big thing that almost nature has put down to protect, the interior part of the continents where people live. And it is also a place where you don't have to, wetland is a place where, like a sponge, all the chemicals and all the bad stuff is actually taken out. And then what percolates into the ground creates the groundwater, clean groundwater. And groundwater, guys, is 50% of Americans depend on groundwater as their primary source of water for agriculture, for our day-to-day life. You don't know, you are using groundwater. I'm using groundwater, and it's a non-renewable resource. Once used, groundwater takes a long time to be made. And so humans are using it very, very fast. So flood protection, and groundwater use, these are all wetland. So I'm just giving you a context why wetlands are important. If you go to third page, that's where our real lab starts. And The area could have been Georgia. It just happens to be New Jersey. That's where it's New Jersey, New York border, and New York City is in the, if you see that first picture I have put down there, that's the wetland, but in the very distant, background, you can see the silhouette of New York City. We'll see better pictures of this. So this is a wetland that says, it's called the Meadowlands in that name, and there's a river that flows through that. That river's name is Hackensack. So the river flows the primary through this ecosystem and a few miles to the west of New York City. In the 20th century, much of this wetland area was urbanized, and that's the true nature for most areas. Savannah, as that city grows, Charleston, and south in Florida, and all the coast, all along the coast. As cities are growing, these wetlands are being sucked in and, developed, mercilessly without giving any thought to what it actually does to us, okay? So in the 20th century, much of the wetlands area has been urbanized, and it became known for being the site for large landfills and decade of environmental degradation, abuse. A variety of projects are underway to restore and conserve the remaining ecological resources of the Meadowlands. So now finally we have realized we need to do something, otherwise this is not going to be there and we will lose one of the most precious things that protects us from harm. So this is the wetland. The geography of the area is, you can read, it's about 8,400 acres or 34 square kilometers, and in the New York, New Jersey area. And the history is very long. So it starts with are the Europeans the first people to inhabit the North America? Did Columbus really discover North America? There were people here, right? So, but we are taught the European history. So of course, the Atlantic in New York area was the main place where the Europeans came in, and it was a forested area at that time with plants or trees that are native to that wetland. Every wetland has their unique species that have developed harmony with the nature, because all the wetlands are different. So if you go back to the history, the early Dutch settlers, they cleared the cedar forests, completely gone from that native plant that was there, and used dikes to drain the land. So Dutch are very big. 2 cities of the world are below sea level. Do you know which 2? 2 cities are so vulnerable, they only survive because there are big, dams and dikes that protect them from the sea just falling inside. One drowned not too long ago because of a storm in this country. So that one is under sea level, and another one is the Dutch capital, Amsterdam. So Amsterdam and New Orleans are 2 cities that were built by draining some of these wetlands and being held by this our powerful ego. So when this Katrina, this hurricane, 5 category hurricane came over New Orleans, one of these gates fell, one of these levees fell, and there you go. Man's control over nature is gone. New Orleans flooded. So we have completely changed wetlands. We have made the rivers go straight. Whenever you see a river that goes straight down with no bending, no curves, there's a problem. Because what has been happened is somebody, or mostly Army Corps of Engineers, have come and engineered the river. Well, river has its own bank, natural banks it makes over time through the floods, so that it protects people from flood. Now, if you cut that river into a straight channel, so we will see those things here, that things are just straight. Rivers don't flow that way. So man has engineered it. So you can read that. So we started, as soon as we started settling there, we started to, without thinking, first the cedar forest was gone. Now there is no forest there. And next, other things, and then came the landfills. And we'll read a little bit more of that. So human impact before European settlement, the area consisted of several diverse ecosystems based on freshwater, brackish water, and saltwater environment. So guys, there are 3 types of water mixing. We are only good, our all need only comes from fresh water. Brackish water has salt in it, and salt water, of course, seawater has salt in it. We can't do anything with that unless we take the NaCl or the salt out of that water, and it's very expensive. So we might have to do it, but right now we try not to get to that point of desalinizing plant for our use. So when the questions come, guys, you will find some of these answers here. So I want you to pay attention now and just, I'm giving you an idea where we are and the human impact. And you can see there are considered by residents of the area through the centuries as wasteland. Meadowlands were systematically subject to various kind of human intervention. And there are 4 categories. Pay attention. Extraction of natural resources. As I said, the trees was gone, the cedar. Fish was taken out at a tremendous rate. So extraction, including fish and game, as well as cedar logs. Farmer also harvested salt hay for feed. Over time, the forest resources were totally depleted. Dike systems broke down. There you go. Farming ceased and contamination by pollution increased. What can I say anymore? All right, next, alteration of water flow. Drainage canals and especially the deepening of the Hackensack River for navigation. So they dig out the river and have allowed salt water to, this place is very close to the ocean. So it is very close to the ocean means this river also backflows during tides. So tidal channels are those that, like Savannah River, when it enters the ocean during high tide, ocean pushes back into the river. So what happens, that river which brings fresh water from the inland now have salt water twice a day, go in back and forth. So the trees that grow there, the plants and the animals that live there gets, they are built to have that salt exchange. So salt water come in, we can't do anything with salt. Our bodies need salt, but we cannot just drink salt water. I mean, that won't happen with us. So we need to drink fresh water. We need to bathe with fresh water. So alteration of water flow during drainage canal, especially the deepening of hazard, altered the salt and the brackish water and fresh water mixing. Reclamation of land making and development. Then came landfill and garbage. So the landmass generated from dredging, the river, they were deepening the river. So they just took that mud or the garbage and just put it in the wetland. And then came the construction of the World Trade Centers. These are the 2 of the world's largest buildings that were ever created. That they were also they took the wrath of the terrorists, and they were brought down during the 9/11 attack. But creating those 2 towers was gigantic amount of trash that was generated because they had to go very deep foundations to create those towers. And where did the trash go? They came into this wetland. So this is 1960s, not too long ago. And then comes pollution by sewage, refuse, and hazardous waste, even worse. Now you are putting radioactive stuff, needles, medical garbage. So various type of waste comes in the Meadowlands. Even to the point in 1940s, now this is World War II history, when London was bombed by the Germans. So London was just absolutely flattened out by bombing. So it was just pile of rubbles. So all these ships, then, before the airplanes, it was the ships that used to, big ocean liners that used to, one that drowned, Titanic, so they used to carry these people. So they needed ballast on the ships for when they went to Europe, they went loaded, but when they came back, came empty. So they needed ballast too. So all this London bombing garbage, rubble, ended up in that. So the ship brought it into New York and then took it out and dumped it into that wetland. So, I mean, it is just a history of abuse that is has taken. And it, of course, is a Superfund project, site. Fort Valley is a Superfund site. Superfund site means it's a chemical degradation of a place where chemicals have leaked out from whatever we were doing into the ground and uncontrollably. And now it takes super amount of money to clean these places up. So that's why it's called Superfund site. There are 1,000 sites in this country, and our favorite city of Fort Valley happens to be one of them. So it is said that it has been cleaned up, but then who is asking? Finally, guys, so getting to the end and beginning the lab, here is the New Jersey Meadowlands Commission and conservation efforts. So finally, we have started conservation efforts, especially through introduction of Clean Water Act. So there are two things that we need to survive. Can you tell me what? Those are very important for geoscientists. What will you need at this moment without which we cannot live? There are at least two things that we need. Tell me, what do you need to survive?
Oxygen.
Absolutely. So we need a clean air. So there's an act with called Clean Air Act. One is oxygen. The second one?
Water.
Yes. So we can live without water for maybe a week, 2 weeks at the most, that's all. And then comes food and shelter and energy. But air and water are two basic important things for anything living. So if there is a Clean Water Act, there's a Clean Air Act. So those are the acts that cleans up and gives us Clean Air and Clean Act. And these are EPA governs them. So if you go to page 5, finally, the lab material starts. So now you think why it is important. We will look at a very degraded site and we are trying to restore its health back. As scientists, we are trying to understand what has happened here because there was no record of, like nobody was just, it's a dump, just who goes inside a dumpster and looks through what has been dumped. I mean, dumpster, dump truck comes and picks it up and goes. And so this is what this place was, a big dumpster. So now to clean up, we have to understand what's there and how do we restore back the plants and animals that were originally native to this area. So this module explores how near surface electrical geophysical techniques. So when we have a baby in a mother's womb, we can see the baby, right? We can see the baby without doing, harming the mother or the baby. So these are geophysical methods. We see in sonar waves and we can see the shape of the baby moving. We can also do same thing with the earth. So what lies underneath your feet? We can't see it, but if we can send earthquake waves, seismic waves underneath, these are also geophysicists, they send waves, they reflect back and we see an image of the earth inside. We will see that. That's one way to recreate what is in that, underneath this wetland. Now, what is the surface of the wetland? What lies? What has been dumped there? How has it been? So that's called geophysical methods, sending waves into the earth, and can be used to understand Earth's shallow subsurface. Subsurface means, like 10 feet, 20 feet, something like that. In the context of societally relevant problem, which this one is. And unit 1, there are 5 units to this lab. We are just going to do one, the first one. Unit 1 is the introductory exercise, and we will just see, what we have done. So we will focus on one plant, only one plant, and through which we will try to understand what has happened. This plant's name is, I'm not a biologist, I can't say these names, but it's called Salicornia. Salicornia is the native plant that used to thrive in that area, in this wetland. So mark the word native. Native means something that is only particularly to that area. I mean, it's not found anywhere else. So anything else that is there is going to be a foreign element in that area. So we call these plants that are, or anything, animals that are there in their habitat, unique to that is called a native, right? So native plant called Salicornia, and its kind of nickname is pickleweed. So pickleweed is what I'm going to call it. Salicornia is very bright. And it is one of the most brightest red things you have ever seen in nature. I mean, you can see it from aerial photos, you can see it. So anywhere you see something red, a bunch of red things in the ground, is this plant pickleweed. So it is it has died off there. It has been mostly gone from that meadowland area because of all this degradation. So pickleweed is easily located on the ground. I'm on the very top part of page 5 of the student handout, if you're wondering where I'm reading from. So it's a Salicornia is and is also captured in high resolution aerial photographs, as I said. The pickleweed occurs in localized patches. So see, if it's a native plant, if we are living healthy, we should be covering a whole area, by nice houses and everything. But if you see one torn house here, one house here, and somewhere it's a little bit bigger, it's all kind of a disrupted area. So that's what we see, patches, not just level, nice area covering the whole area. So why is it doing that? It is a native plant, that's its land. It should be growing there and thriving there. It's not. It's only thriving in some places of patches. So we want to understand that. There's a one characteristic of this plant. This plant is called a halophyte. Do you know what a halophyte is? Halophytes grows under extreme salty conditions. So they have been adapted to grow where salt is present in the ground. So other plants won't be able to. And why? Because this area I told you is tidally influenced. So twice a day, the high tide comes in and pushes the river back, bringing salt water from the ocean into the river. And then this is kind of in this meadowland, which is in the coast, gets dumped with this salt. And so plants has developed adaptations to grow in this changing salty nature, but high salt environment. They're called halophytes. So Salicornia or pickleweed is a high salt tolerant, which is poison to other plants. This plant can survive on that and does survive only on high salinity area. So consequently, one possible explanation is the pickleweed's patches are what? Then a reflection of how much salt is present in the ground. If the salt was uniformly distributed, fine, you will find Salicornia growing all over. But patchy nature means it's not, all messed up, somewhere. So we are going to see that. This is where your chemistry lab comes handy, because the things we can measure are chemical parameters, variables like salt, total salt content, or conductivity, or resistivity. Resistivity is a geophysical method, conductivity is a geochemical method. What is the fascinating thing about them is they are reciprocals of one another. So if this one is 9, the other one is 1/9. So that's how, if you can measure conductivity, we can measure resistivity just by doing the reciprocal. So chemists are interested in conductivity, physicists are interested in resistivity, and geoscientists are interested in both, and see how these two can be brought together. And that's what we are going to do, understand. So under this, why, if the salinity is, or the salt content of the soil is not fixed, what is causing it? Why is the salt not fixed? So there are 3 things that they are going to, they think, hypothesis, scientific method. So they're going to ask this question: because of the tide. The tide is the source of the salt, oceans, from the oceans. So tidal variability, tide has changes because of the moon's rotation and all that. So discharges of landfill. Now, that's not natural. Tide is natural, landfill is not. And landfill leachate means put all this garbage in a landfill and cover it up nicely. And then what happens when it rains? Water percolates through this hazardous waste and then comes out. And that's called a leachate. Those leachates are as toxic as anything that probably worst thing you can think of in a horror movie. So, and runoff from application of road salt. You know, New York, New Jersey is a pretty cold area. You know, in the winter, they dump a lot of salt. That salt goes where? Anytime you see salt, salt is very corrosive also. If you see salt fall in your car, get rid of it because it's going to corrode it out. So that salt goes into the water system and into the water, groundwater, and then into the wetland system. So there are three sources of salt, where this salt variation can come. Now, what can we do? So we are using geophysical methods to understand the salt variation and why this plant is growing. So you will explore three things. So first thing we will do, this place is called Harrier Meadow, and we will use the Google Earth. So Google Earth is a very helpful tool that we use for various purposes. I mean, Google has done amazing things. You can see your house, you can see the dorm, you can see almost, and in America, we can see down, I mean, they blur out the people, but you can see almost the license plate on car's number, where your car is. I mean, these are pretty amazing pictures that they can take, and we'll see it. And a high resolution drone was sent up, and the drone flew around and took some high resolution pictures of this wetland. And ArcGIS, guys, if you ever get a chance to take a ArcGIS class, go ahead and do it, because it's called Geographic Information System. It is very applicable in every field of science. You can do amazing things in geology, chemistry, physics, math, biology, astronomy. ArcGIS is used everywhere, and non-scientists use it a lot too. Political maps, anything you can think of. So we can talk about, I'll show you how. There's a story map of this area with this ArcGIS thing. So do you see the picture I have on my screen now? The yellow border. It's kind of a rectangle. Are you with me?
Yes.
This is our measured area.
Yes, sir.
So this is where we are going to measure so this is an aerial drone picture. We are looking down on this, and you can see the wetland area, but that's our main focus. That's the part that is not so badly shaped. So it says, welcome to Harrier Meadow, an urban wetland located in the Meadowlands of New Jersey. If you click on this link that we have given you, there are 4 links, guys, at the end of this. Let me show you. At the very end, there are 4 links that you need. Or where did I put the links? Not at the end. No, not in this one. Sorry. So I'm in the wrong one. Let me go back to where I was. Yes. So if you go to the student worksheet, that's the assessment one. That's the one that you want to really write on, the Word document. It has 4 links. Click on all 4 links and bring these up so you can see what I'm showing you as the Harrier Meadow. So I'm going to change my share and bring up the other one so I can show you. So I'm going to stop here for a second. Stop share, and I'm going to bring up now the student handout. And please download this Word document because you have to put all your information in this Word document. So this is the Word document that we have, and for you to look at. Do you all see it? It's called Wetland System, and please write your name, your ID, your email, your lab instructor. This is Dr. Mac. The section is 1, so we'll do it. But here are the 4 links. So anything I'm going over, these links will take you to these sites, and you should use your own link to investigate. I'll give you some time as we come to question 1 and see. So there's a Google Earth link. It will bring up the Google Earth area of the, and I already brought it up. I can show you in a second. Then there is this low resolution and a high resolution UAV, means unmanned rover that has taken a video of that area, an ArcGIS map, and a gauging station. I'll explain to you when we come to that. Because it's a tidal area, the tides go up and down, we need to measure that. So we'll look at that, and there's a link to that. All right, so these are the 4 things. So there are 18 questions in that. It was spread over like 18 pages. I brought them down to 1 page. So this 1 page is what you need to turn in as your work. And there are some Excel graph that goes in the 4th page. So 2 pages you have to really turn in, this page and an Excel page. That's it. So can you now take a second? Okay, let's go back and look at these couple of things. So let me show you. I'm going to stop the share again. I'm going to show you those 4 links. The first link is this. Let's see. Go to that and bring up the, let's see, it's this one. All right, share. So I'm going to go to the why are wetlands? And this is what I started with. If you want to go and read this a little bit more, you can see. I actually borrowed my introduction from this page. I'm giving you the resources. Now, low resolution. This is, let's look at this as a group. We are going to look at this video that takes you through this wetland and shows you where in New York, New Jersey area we are and what kind of has happened. And keep your eyes open for that red patches in this green kind of brown greenish area. I'm going to start the this rover video. All of you can see this, right?
This video was taken from an unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, more commonly known as a drone. It provides a panoramic view of Harrier Meadow and also shows its geographical setting relative to nearby landfills and New York City. Luckily, this video was shot on a crystal clear day, so we will be able to see far off to the horizon. Here, we are looking towards the northwest corner of the Harrier Meadow wetland complex. The hills on the edge of the wetland are not natural. They are old landfills that have infilled previous natural wetlands. The furthermost hills make up the Erie landfill. We have now swung around to look to the south. Where the hills in the
I have to leave to go to my calculus class.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just letting you know.
All right. I mean, you can't have a class in the middle of a lab, though it's conflict, but okay, I'm not. All right. Everybody else is here, right? Watching this? Okay, that's what.
Is another one of the numerous landfills that are filled in the natural wetlands. This is known as the 1E landfill and is one of the largest landfills in the New Jersey Meadowlands. As water in the earth moves downhill under gravity, contaminated water from such elevated landfills is likely to leach out into the wetland, although protective barriers have been put in place around many such landfills in this region. Looking down on Harrier Meadow, we can see some of the vegetation patterns that we will be exploring with geophysical methods.
Look at the red.
The splashes of orange-red are the patches of salicornia or pickleweed that we will run geophysical surveys over. We will take a closer look at these patches shortly. As we pan around to get this panoramic view, we can see the skyline of New York City in the background. This gives you a clear sense of the proximity of these wetlands to the city and why they were seen by urban developers as an ideal swamp for disposing of the waste from New York City. As we swing further to the northeast, we get a greater appreciation of the extent of this wetland complex, covering almost 32 square miles of the Hackensack River estuary. This wetland provides a unique habitat for birds and is a major stopping point during migration season. As we return back to our original viewing orientation, note the town of North Arlington, New Jersey in the background. The large white buildings close to the edge of the marsh are former transfer stations, where trash from municipal garbage trucks will be transferred to different shaped containers for easier transport. As we swing around again, we're going to finish by taking a closer look at the salicornia vegetation patterns that we are most interested in. We are now looking down at the location where the geophysical surveys were run. This is looking at the patches of pickleweed shown in the overhead photographs contained in the GIS story map entry for this unit. Again, the salicornia or pickleweed is evident from the bright orange patches that you can see in front of you. The remainder of this module will use geophysical datasets to look into the shallow subsurface to explore what might be causing these patches of the pickleweed. Our hypothesis is that these salinity-tolerant plants are thriving in regions of locally elevated salinity, As salinity exerts a strong control on electrical conductivity, we hope to be able to map out increases in salinity in the regions where the pickleweed is thriving.
And this is a question, guys. He says it so fast, when I had to pause it like 10 times. So you can go back. He told you the hypothesis that they are going to test. And that's the question, scientific question we are asking here, to kind of have an answer to understand the whole environmental degradation problem. So I can try to listen to that one more time, because you need to answer that, what he says in your question, one of the question when they ask for a hypothesis. I'm going to retract it back just a little bit so you can hear the hypothesis.
Salinity-tolerant plants are thriving in regions of locally elevated salinity. As salinity exerts a strong control on electrical conductivity, we hope to be able to map out increases in salinity in the regions where the pickleweed is thriving.
So they're going to map out where the salinity and the pickleweed do the match, so where pickleweed is underneath is the, salt solutions. Okay, so this is the undrawn map that I showed you. Let me show you the other things that are there in the 4 things that you are going to see. So this was the first one. The second one is going to be drone thing. Okay, here. All right. So the next thing is going to be exploring, and I want all of you to do this by yourself. So if you look at this, and if you just scroll down, it shows you the Harrier Meadow. It takes you through the yellow outline is our field of study area. And you can see these wide buildings where all the garbage trucks came from New York City, dumped this in this area, and transferred it to smaller trucks and took it into the Harrier Meadow. And so rare native species, and they will have a close-up of this called salicornia that grows here. And you can see that red splash, and here's the plant itself, the pickleweed. This plant grows in where salt is very high, and that's a solid, and it's a native plant that is not found anywhere else other than this particular wetland. It has evolved to be a salt-tolerant plant. And so that's the end of story map for Unit 1. That's all you have. There are more things that they have done here, the geophysical method. That's not part of our, we don't have to go in there. All right, so that's one thing. The other thing is, here is the gauging station. So twice a day, there is a high tide, there's low tide. Tides happen on Earth because moon is much smaller than the Earth. So but moon still has a gravity. Earth is bigger, we are smaller, Earth is bigger, so we are stuck to the Earth. Moon is also stuck to the Earth, but moon being bigger than us pulls the Earth. Can't really pull the solid surface of the Earth, but the liquid surface, which is the oceans, does get pulled towards the moon. So twice a day, the ocean rises and twice a day it falls. So there are 4 tides a day. That's also geologists are interested in, for tidal things. So the tides, when the tides rise, the low-lying areas gets flooded naturally. And rivers which empties into oceans, that mouth of the river gets pushed back in, and salt water is brought into those areas. So you can measure here. So if you look at a particular day, so this is giving you on this chart that I have here is today's actually, it's current at 2:41 p.m. at the Hackensack River, right there, it's live. You can see, you can read what was the first tide's height. Can somebody tell me what was the first tide height at, let's say, at 11:27 p.m.? What was the height of this blue-green peak? How many feet was the highest peak?
6.
Absolutely. And what was the low that followed the 6 feet? It's below 0, right? So it's a 1 feet below 0. But look at the next tide. The next tide, when it goes up at 11:49, which tides repeat every 6 hours. So high tide to high tide is 12 hours. So when we get back the next high tide, now tell me at 11:49 a.m., what is the high tide? Didn't go up to 6 feet. It went to what? Somebody read it out.
5 feet.
Is it on the line of 5 feet?
That's what it looked like.
Or is it in between the 5 and the 6?
It looked like it's on 5 on the dot to me.
Okay, so I think the other line is just the peak is touching at 6 and then it goes down and comes back up, not quite 6, but it crosses the 5. So it's somewhere between 5 and 6. So what you say is, 5 plus something, maybe 5.5 or something, but it's a little different than the other one. Then again it goes down, again it comes back 6 hours later, 12 hours later, and again it goes to a high. So anyway, we have to document this as one of the answers that they ask. All right. So this is called the Amtrak Railroad Swing Bridge, Hackensack River. They have put a tidal gauge there. They measure the tides every time it comes up. It's an automatic thing. So we can understand, and the Harrier Meadow is very close to this area. So if this area is seeing the tides, that means Harrier Meadow is supposed to see the tides too. All right, let's see if it does. And the last thing we are going to see is the Google Earth. So Google Earth can actually, you can see, as I told you, you can do many things with the Google Earth. You can pull them, you can tilt them, you can, so Harrier Meadow is in that, but look at this, as you pull out of this area, you can see, let me see if I can tilt this. I can tilt this by doing this. Look, so I can tilt this image and then I can go very close. I can see there are turnpikes that has been built through this area. The major New Jersey Turnpike. It's like 10 miles, 10 lanes up, 10 lanes down. I mean, this is one of the major road that goes through this area. So if you can see, this is the Hackensack River and it flows into the ocean. So here's the Atlantic Ocean. So it's very close to the mouth of the river, and the New York City is built on this island and Manhattan. So this is, so the tide is here. So it kind of comes through the area. This you can see New York. And then you go through this area, and these are the rivers that comes and joins up here. So Hackensack is one of these rivers. And in these areas would have been the wetland, natural wetland. These has all become urbanized and completely destroyed. And so if you go up the river, you can see that this river during tides, the ocean water will flow back in towards this area. So all you have to do is just click on that link and it will take you right to the Harrier Meadow, because you can lose that site pretty quickly. If you lose where you were, then it's hard to find New York area where this little Harrier Meadow is. There's so much going on here. So if I lose it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my the Word document that I've given you, and then click on the story, the very first one, the Google Earth, and you will see here it goes. The Google Earth will bring up the exact location where the Hackensack River is. So it will take you right here. So now you want to measure how far, they'll ask you a question, how far is this area from that Amtrak bridge? And you can swing back and you can, but don't make, lose your sight where this is. You can put a place mark there. So we will learn how to do, so you can take a place mark from one of these, let's see, and you have this measuring tool. So you can click on that and then you can measure a point from there, start it, and then hold it down from there, and you can measure. So see it giving you how many feet, how many meters, you can change that distance. And I can measure from that middle of that to middle of this, and it will tell me it's 103 meters, or I can do that in inches, miles, anything. So I can measure very easily distances from here to New York or wherever I want, or back and forth. So this is what we need to do also to see how far that gauging station is from the and the actual site. All right, so this is the Google Earth. And then I need to get out and I'm going to scroll out a little bit. You can see if that is, once I put that place mark there, I can now trace it and see, I can try to find where that railroad bridge is. This is the New Jersey Turnpike. So this is all the wetland. And then you will see, let me turn it around a little bit. Here is where the railroad is. So this thing just, this bridge, the highway just blocks it. So river is on this side. Do you see? It says the Hackensack River. Then there is the toll road. And look where the wetland is. It's on the, in my map right now, it's on the left-hand side. So this area used to be influenced twice a day by these Hackensack Rivers tide. Now this bridge, this whole land area has been created artificially through this wetland and cut off the river on the right, and you can see the railroad bridge there. Now I'm putting my little thing and you can see how far that is, you know, from that area. So I'm going to take that out, but you can see that from here to this railroad bridge, if I want to make the railroad bridge a little bigger, you can see where the gauging station is actually. So they can measure this. This is the Amtrak. There's Amtrak's train line over there. And this is the Hackensack River. And they have put a gauging station to measure the rise and fall of the ocean tides. And so if this is the area, but now if I go over to our area, you can see there's the major highway. So this didn't used to be there. Now it's a major highway that has completely dislodged that area that used to be, you know, influenced by this river. Now it is. So your idea is they will ask, so you have to look around this map and see these rivers are straight lines. So these are not natural rivers. These rivers are not, you know, these rivers are straight lines. No river flows like straight lines. I mean, these has some, but they have somehow kept some bridges here. Look at this bridge, underneath which the water can go back towards this area that is the wetland. So it seems like not all of it has been cut off, and that's why probably that Salicornia still have access to salt because of this rivers. I mean, the ocean can still push back through this river during high tide. That's what I think has happened. So this is the area. All right. So having said that, all that, now that I have completely confused you and all that, let's go back to our first question. So let's start the lab and then we'll dig out wherever we need to go. So let's bring up the Word document. Can you see the Word document on my screen? And you should download this so that you can write on it, or you can take notes. If you have printed it, please take notes on your printed document and just upload that. So please fill out this first part and individually do this, guys. You know, like this is for fun and also for class. So write out your name, your ID, your email, all that information, and go to question 1. I'm going to stop talking now and you guys lead and I will help you. So question number 1 has 2 parts. Urban degradation and of natural wetlands ecosystem. What have you learned? So you can answer, give me 2 examples of that. And you can go back to all the information. You don't have to immediately answer it. You can take a few minutes, a breath. And I want the answer to be: urbanization damaged the natural wetlands of New Jersey Meadowlands in what ways? Give me 2 examples. I gave you many, so you might have to, you know, but go back to this document and the handout. So this is the actual assessment document. The handout is the PDF. PDF has pretty much, you know, a lot of the information that you might want to look at. So if you look at the PDF, I started with the EPA diagram, you know, documentation, and then this is the PDF. And if you go back here, I gave you examples of 4 categories, the natural resources that were actually, can look through these and see if any of these looks like the answer, then write down 2 of them. So, and then somebody can give me a volunteer an answer. I'll see if it's correct or not. So this, then go back to your PDF, and I'm really not going to talk anymore. So you guys tell me what the question is and what the answers are. Or if there were any questions on what we had done. Get started. Somebody read it. Here is your first question. Urbanization damaged the natural wetland of the New Jersey Meadowlands in what ways? Name 2. Anybody?
Polluting the wetlands.
Expand a little bit. Absolutely. Polluting how?
As everything was built, all of the trash went into the wetland area.
So yeah, that describe that trash, you know, like what the trash, there were many generations of trash and different types of trash. So talk about 1 or 2 varieties of trash. Where did it come from?
Building materials themselves, like
The World Trade Center?
yes, the World Trade Center. And I don't remember the other one you said. I think it was regular trash, but I'm not sure.
No, you're right. I talked about another thing, London bombing, right? Now, all of you don't give me the same answer. I mean, she volunteered that answer. There are many, many, many examples here. I'm just asking for 2. So, but to go back to that document, you know, the PDF, and it has all that 4 different, definitely 4 categories. And then within the categories, there are a lot of different examples. So yes, I will take that one definitely as one answer. But I might want to see other answers too. Somebody give me another answer.
Extraction of natural resources.
Expand a little bit. Absolutely, you're right. So give me a little example. That's a very broad topic. So what resource was taken out?
Like farmers harvest salt from it.
Yeah, so the salt haze, right? So they were planted, and then what about the forest that they used to be there? What was that forest? When the Dutch came, there were forests. They completely cut those forests down, right? That's an alteration of the, what was
Is it the cedar forest?
Yeah, there you go. There will be cedar forests. That has been completely taken out. How about the Salicornia itself? You know, that's a native plant that has been damaged. How about fish and wildlife? How about the wetland, I mean, the river system? That were damaged, right? So there have been 4, and there were particularly 4 areas they talk about. I listed there. Can somebody tell me what those 4 areas are? There were 4 human impacts, big impacts. And one of you just told me one of them. Natural extract, you know, what was that extract, the natural thing they extracted? If you go to the PDF, it says, you know, it says in page 3. If you look on page 3 of it, it gives you the 4 main categories. Extraction of natural resources is 1. Alteration of water flow is 1. Reclamation, land making and development was 1. And pollution by sewage, refuse, and hazardous waste. Ton of things that were, and these are broad categories. Within that, there are many examples of what was put in there. PCBs, mercury, everything that is dangerous to human health and animal health has been put in there. So from there, write down, just 2 examples. And in number 2, now this is again, you have to go to your own and then go to the local vicinity by using the GPS, I mean the Google Earth, or use the unmanned vehicle, the rover picture. And now by exploring the local vicinity of Harrier Meadow using Google Earth and UAV video, identify 3 sources of possible pollution of this marsh. Where did this pollution come from? 3 sources, not the pollution. Where can the pollution come in? What has, where, what, how does this wetland get polluted? So what are those sources? Give me 3 examples of those pollution source. So think of a pollution and where can that come from? For example, if it's PCB or mercury, where can mercury come from? What do we use mercury for? Thermometers. Who uses thermometers? We do. I do, you do. When we use it, we're done with it, we just throw it. Most of us do. And mercury, just anybody that touches mercury, any humans or animals, they are going to go crazy. It's that toxic. So
would the cities that are around them be sources of pollution? New York City and New Jersey City, the residents thereof?
You are right. It's the pollution from there, household pollution, and these people who are dumping it are just completely unethical, no moral, they're just doing it for money. So they see it as a dump ground and they just dump it. Yeah, so that's one of the, definitely. Household trash is definitely one of the sources in New York area, yeah. What could be other ones? I'll show you the drone video one more time, just part of it, and you will see how is the water getting. I told you about rain falling, and then what happens there. Listen to this video for a second, and you will see something happens in this thing. So let me stop this for a second. If you look at the, share this. Google Earth. Okay, so let's go to the share. And let's go to this drone video for a second. And let's look at that. Low resolution. So listen to this, and I'll take you to the right. I think I know where it is.
We pan around to get this panoramic view. We can see the skyline of New York City in the background. This gives you a clear sense of the proximity of these wetlands to the city and why they were seen by urban developers as an ideal swamp for disposing of the waste from New York City.
Did you hear that? So this is an ideal swamp. Urban developers saw this area as an ideal swamp for
to the city and why they were seen by urban developers as an ideal swamp for disposing of the waste from New York City.
So that's one. And then here, when they talk about the landfills.
In the background is another one of the numerous landfills that are filled in the natural wetlands. This is known as the 1E landfill and is one of the largest landfills in the New Jersey Meadowlands. As water in the earth moves downhill under gravity, contaminated water from such elevated landfills is likely to leach out into the wetland, although protective barriers have been put in place around many such landfills in this region. Looking down on Harrier Meadow, we can see some of the...
So now, again, listen to this. They just talked about another major source of pollution. when it rains, what happens?
Contaminated water from such elevated landfills is likely to leach out into the wetland, although protective barriers have been put in place around many such landfills in this region. Looking down on
So
Harrier
this is the another source of the landfills themselves, a source of pollution. So water, rain falls, goes through and leachate comes out, which is toxic. That could be another one. So write that down maybe. All right, next. How has the vegetation in these marshes changed as a result of urbanization and population growth? Vegetation, how has that changed over time? So when the Dutch came,
The Salicornia doesn't grow everywhere anymore. It only grows where the salt is concentrated because of how they blocked off the rivers and stuff.
how they dumped there, and yes, absolutely, that's it. That's one of them. You can use that. And initially it used to be all cedar forests. Those are completely gone. Then there was salt haze that they tried to build. Farming went south, so that gone. So Salicornia in almost eliminated. Yep, all these are very good examples. What federal agency and associated legislation has led to some recovery of the environment in these wetlands? Whose site did I take you to begin the class?
The EPA.
Yeah, there you go. And you can read the legislation. There are some, I talked about it a little bit. What was the mandate for our basic survival?
The Clean Air and the Clean Water Act.
There you go. Not the air, but here they're talking about the water. So that's probably the federal legislation that really turned things around a little bit. And what is the New Jersey Meadowlands remains an important habitat for? And it's
California.
No, habitat is more for animals, not so much for plants. So what is that mostly area for? So if you go back to that again, the student handout has all the answers. So if you go to that one, if you go to, let me see, page, it talks about the animal and animal life there. So what is the habitat for? If you go to the very first page, and I talked about wetlands can be thought of as a biological supermarket. If you read through that, say, paragraph, you will see some answers there. So many examples, just not one. And on the second page, it says fish and wildlife habitat. It's absolutely, just before, in the middle of the page. So it's big. And also, what about migratory birds? So they talk about birds also. So if you go to that, let me show you that quickly. Share the screen with this one. So if you go to this third page, so in this page, it talks about here, page 2. Page 3, page 2. Okay, so here you see, this is a sentence. Choose from here. All the 3 paragraphs talks about for many animals and plants, many of the US breeding bird population, migratory waterfowls use coastal and inland wetlands as nesting, feeding, and breeding or nesting grounds for at least part of the year. So these are the important shellfish, game fish, Dungeness crabs, which are mostly from this area. So, and birds raise their young chicks in this area too. All right, next, go to the questions. So the first part is done. Now the second set. Now the real question of salinity. Now we are going to, so determine the distance from the Amtrak. I kind of showed you that. Can somebody go to your Google Earth and measure it? Give me an answer. I almost gave you the answer on that one. So you have to go to the Google Earth and measure this distance. So that's the next question. So go to the, share the Google Earth here. And measure the distance. Oh, this one is not the web one. Let me show you the one that you guys can do, which is the web one. This one is the Google Earth Pro, which is, you have to buy it, but the one in the web is. So look at the Google Earth here. So measure the distance from, here is the Meadowland, and you are going to the railway bridge, which I showed you was here. So you are making where Hackensack River is written. From that point across the New Jersey Turnpike, across this wet area into this little bit area. What is the distance? So you use this measuring tool that they have on the, which looks like a comb. So you take that tool and let's say I'm going to measure it from the center of this. You know, you put a place mark there, right there in the center. And then you get this long arm and you go to the bridge. And you can make it bigger or smaller, you know, you have to see, you can go to the bridge, and once you click that, you will get a number. Somebody give me a number. If you look carefully on my screen, I have the number.
2,526.
So many meters, right? You want the answer in meters or feet, or did they say anything? Miles, something like that. You know, whatever is the, what is the, they don't say, right? So we can pick any of these. How many kilometers is that? If that is so many meters, how many kilometers is that? So let's do that in, let me put the place mark here. Since you saw it, now I'm going to change the, this is 2,500. I'm going to change that to, let's say, miles. So that's the distance between the, so it's very close, 1 mile, 1.5 miles. So that's your distance recorded there. What is the difference in the elevation? So you can measure elevation too here. So you can see, look in the bottom of this diagram, you can see the camera is at 240, that's the elevation. So you can see the elevation, anywhere you click on a diagram and on the map, it will give you an elevation at the, so see as I move my cursor, I can get elevations. You can see that the latitude and the longitude changes. And as I move things, so see the camera is moving as I move out, you are seeing bigger areas. So, and as I move closer, you are seeing smaller areas. So the elevation gives you, the elevation is given at the bottom of this map. So at the same time, so what is the elevation difference between the first point and the second point? That's what they're asking. So did you notice that when I did it? So let's do it again. So if I go to my Harrier Meadow, let me clear out a little bit, go across the New Jersey Turnpike into this wetland and go there. So I'm going to click somewhere there. So look at this number at the bottom of the screen. It says camera. So I saw that, and then I'm going to now go from there to my here. So you see that the number change to -3. So the elevation difference is about -3 when I click there. So there's a 3 meter, and you can change the meter to miles if you want to. So you should use the same units. So it's about 3 meter, meaning what? 3 meter means how many feet? You can see that in here in this chart. If you calculate that, or you can do it. So 3 meters is, I know this by heart, that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeter. Now from that I can calculate what 3 meters is. So that's 1 inch is 0.254 meters, and 3 meters is divided by 100. So go to Google and find that out if I don't want to do the math. So let's see. 3 meters equals how many feet? Somebody look it in Google and tell me. 3 meters is how many feet?
9.
Yeah, there you go. So about 9 feet difference between the top and the bottom. I mean, the two places. Good. So we got that done. So what is the difference? Now, number 8. We're moving pretty fast now. Prove that the Harrier Meadow is tidally influenced by drawing a surface water connection from the water meadow to the ocean on the map provided. Describe the connection in a few sentences. So remember that I said that this is a wetland, is a salt area, and that river and that huge highway was created in the middle of the salt. So now, but remember there were still some bridges I showed you. So go to that map. It's in your handout, student handout on page. So you have to take that page, and also I forgot that. So you have to take that page and also include that in your report. So it's on page 7 of your student handout. So I'm going to share that so you know. Not this one. This one is the, so let's go to the student handout, the PDF. Where did my chat? Look in the PDF and you will see the, here. Sure. Go to page 3. Page 7, sorry. Page 7 has the, so in this map, you can see, here's the map. So you have to prove here, how does Harrier Meadow, let me make it a little smaller so you can see the whole thing. So how can this Harrier Meadow, which is over there in the blue on the upper left-hand corner, here's the Hackensack River. How can you prove that this water, which carries the salt, which used to flood this area during high tide, is still connected? So draw something, you can see these channels, the straight channel that has been created. But also, if you look in that Google Earth map, you will see that there are some gaps, bridges, like right here. So what you can do is draw some lines. So if you are using a printed map, you can do that, or I can, copy this into do a screen capture. You can just print this out and draw lines through it. So what I can show you is I can do it online by, if I just do a screen capture here and go to a file, like a paint file or something, and I'm going to dump it there so you can draw on it. So I'm going to show you that, share that screen now. So you can just take a screenshot and just put it in there and dump it in a, let's see, where did it go? Show all windows. All right, so I just put it there, here's Paint. All right, so I put it in Paint. So this looks like the thing I grabbed. But now what I can do is I can grab some of these paint brushes or something and call it blue or something. So here is my river. So I can show that this is how the river flows during high tide. It pushes back. So the general flow of the river is towards the ocean. The ocean is this way. But during high tide, so the river comes from upstream, flows towards the ocean. Ocean is down in this map. So now during high tide, it reverses. So now the water is pushing back. So as the water pushes back, so now what happens? Look at these channels. These are the channels that feeds into, so there is a bridge here. So water can come from here, go underneath the bridge. And this is a wet area. This is also an elevated bridge. And now see, all this water is now can go and influence that wetland. So there are places where they have kept. So from here, from back here, seems like water can flow back through these areas. There's some water path here. So although they have cut off the majority of the wetland from any of the day-to-day, but there are small areas, and that's why this patchy thing. That's why not so uniform. So this is so there are some tidal influences. So during high tides, the salt water will push back on this, underneath these bridges into these areas. And you can see now you can make a connection to the meadowland. So write that out in your word. So this we can see that during high tides, there are channels that goes underneath the bridges of this New Jersey Turnpike, and that still is connected to the wetland. So the wetland can still get salty, not as much, but to an extent, twice a day from the high tide when the river pushes back. And include this map, just save this map and include that in your report. Just put it in a, just paste it in one of the pages of your student assessment document, the Word document. So I can just take this and just cut this one like that and cut it. And then I go to my Word document and just paste it there. But this is something I think, you can still visually see how the water can get. Otherwise, there's no way this pickle wheat can grow if it had no salt in the system, because it's a high salt tolerant plant. Got this? Okay, I'm going to give you all that, so you can finish up, during the week, but I'm giving you all the questions. So hints, so you can go. So let's look at the next question. Okay, next, somebody read me the next question. I lost it somewhere. Anybody read me the next question. Which question were we on?
Number 9, right?
Yeah, read the number 9, please.
Okay. Use the link to the tidal gauging station on this bridge to determine the change in water levels of this river over the most recent 2 days. Record the high water level, low water level, and the difference between these two numbers.
Okay, so which map are we going to go to? We can go to that map, and I think I printed. So if you look in your student handout, I have given you a picture of a particular day. I don't know if it was in the last 2 days, but if you go to page, you can look at the PDF just after this page, where this is on page 8. I gave you a high and a low map, and that is from Monday of October. So if you want to do your own thing, then you should go to the, let me stop this. And then you should go to the one that is, when I took you first, go to that gauging station and do that. So here, and if you go to this Amtrak station, so now tell me what are the numbers. Now we have to be seriously looking at these numbers. Oops, where is it? Amtrak here. Okay, so tell me what numbers you see here. A bit bigger. So this is the most recent map. So let's read 1127. So think about between 7 and 6, and so these are 1 feet apart. So there are, let's say, 10 more lines in between. So look at very carefully. The 6 feet is a little bit more 6 feet. So let's say pick a number for that 6. Write down the number in your report, what you see as this peak number. And then go down to this 5:54 a.m. and write down another number. That is your low number corresponding. So those two, so that's day 1. Let's say write down the day 1 as March 2nd. And you got the high tide value at 1127 is 6 point something. And 6 is good. And then the corresponding low tide value that happened on March 3rd is 5:54 a.m. is this -1 value. So what is the difference between 6 feet and -1 feet? Six minus -1. So that means 6 plus 1 is what? So the difference is?
Seven feet.
Yeah. 7 feet. And the day 2, now follow this curve up. Now let's go to day 2. And you see the high peak at 1149. So read this number. It's between 5 feet and 6 feet. So it's about, what would you say? Somebody tell me. How far high is this? Not 5 would have gone through here in the, it's kind of up from 5. So let's pick an easy number. Anybody? An easy number between 5 and 6?
5.5.
Let's take it. Let's take 5.5 and then go down to the same low tide. And now again, you are kind of similar now, this one also. So let's say another -1. So 5.5 minus -1 will give you
6.5.
how much?
$6.5.
Yes, 6.5. So what is the, you got two differences. What would be the average of the two? One is 1 feet, one is 5, one is 7 feet, one is 6.5. So, you know, about somewhere in between the two is how much height, you know, it changes. So now the question number 10, somebody read question number 10. You got the two answers for question 9. Read me the question 10.
Do you think that the change will be more, less, or about equal to this at Harrier Meadow?
What do you think? So how far is Harrier Meadow? So we measured it, right? How far was it from this gauging station in this Amtrak station, bridge to this gauging station? How far is it? we measure it with Google Earth, so we were looking at here's the strain thing, and we're still there on the we said about how much do you write down? You should have written down this number. So it's about only 1 mile, right? 1.5 miles. So do you think that this is the different? So if the height here is changing by 7 feet, do you think this area should have much higher, much lower, or similar height difference of the tides? And the the mile is pretty, I mean, it's not like Atlanta and New York, it's still 1 mile apart.
I think it would be the same, about the same.
You are absolutely right. I would agree. So even if this area has been messed up, but there are still channels through which, and water can only go up by how much the difference is. So in one, yeah, you're right. Excellent. We are done with number 2 section. Number 3. Approximately what percentage of the vegetation would you estimate is pickleweed in this photograph? And go back to your Word doc, PDF. Let's go back to the PDF and look at that information. The picture is given. So look at that PDF on there. And stop share this one. And go back to the PDF. So how much percentage? Now you're looking for how much of that. So here's the PDF. We are doing section number 1.3. So look at this. So what in that blue area is where this is done. Okay, here in this picture. Look at, I put the yellow place mark for the area. This is the Harrier Meadow. Pickleweed is that much. What do you think? So if I look at this picture, this is my Harrier Meadow. In the foreground, there's the landfill in the background, the water. So if you just look at this area, and in the center, the patchy pickleweed, what percentage is this area of the whole area? So if you think of if you think this area as like a square, you know how to do, what percentage of a square is how much, or a circle is how much. If you draw half of a circle, that's 50%. If you do 4 quadrants, that's 25%. So think of this area as a square or a, roughly, to get a rough estimate. What would you put this circle within this big area? What would that percentage be?
I would say like 3 to 5% maybe.
Anybody else? I'm not saying you are right or wrong. This is a very good answer. Do everybody agree with your classmate? Put it down, whatever you think and you gave a very good start on that one. I would say it's not 100%, definitely. All right, so that's that question. Now you decide on an answer on that one. I'll accept it. Number 12. Who is going to read number 12? A pretty easy answer. Somebody read it. Reading doesn't mean you have to give the answer. You can just read it. We can all give the answer.
It says natural vegetation of these marshes was filled in to provide blank space for serving the New York City population.
What did New York City population need this space for?
Was it for landfills?
Here we go. Where people live, they don't want landfill and dump it in the Westland. Yeah, that's what it was. Read number 13. what is that word that goes against, if somebody is not native, who comes in by force?
Foreign species.
Yeah, there's a very particular name. Absolutely correct, but there's a name. It invades. What is that word I just gave you? Just make it a not foreign, invade. So it should be
Invasive.
there you go. These are used in as technical words. So we cannot use foreign. We have to use invasive species. Native versus invasive. It's in environmental or biological language. Next one, the $1 million question. Who is going to give that one? Salicornia is a DAT tolerant plant and its common name is?
It's a halophile and its common name is ragweed or something.
Not ragweed. Good name though. What is the name? There is a nickname for this plant. Starts with a P. Here, if you go to the very
Pickleweed.
yeah, here. It's pickleweed. So and then halophytes are what kind? So if you want to use the word, actual word for halophyte, that means these are salt tolerant plant. Halophyte right here in the middle, you can see. But halophyte is good. It's very technical. Number 15. Whew, we are done almost. Not quite. What color? I have it in the printed here. Can you see this color?
Right, red.
There you go. I'm helping you out a little bit. All right, number 16. Guys, now this one is, I'm not going to give you the answer. You know the answer. If you're following this, read it and answer it. Somebody read it. There are 5 choices for your answer.
Based on a narration of the UAV video, a variation in what subsurface environmental parameter is likely to be related to the distribution of pickleweed? The answer is C, salinity.
Your reading is very good and your answer is even better. Excellent job. Very good reading. This is hard ones. Okay, guys, I will want you to think about explain the answer to question 13. You can write it afterwards. So why is what? Now, number 15, the hypothesis. I told you to listen very carefully in that UAV video. So I'm going to play that one more time if you can. It introduces the hypothesis and then how were we going to test the hypothesis. And that was the whole thing, you know. So this is a geo-centered lab. So we were going to use what? Like we see a baby in a mother's womb, you know, we are not going to destroy anything. So we were going to use some kind of a method. So here in blue, I wrote down the method explores how near surface electrical. So what are they going to do? What are they going to use? So right there is the word that you need. And what is the hypothesis? Did anybody write down the hypothesis when we heard it? Do you want to hear it one more time?
Was it to see to test for different concentration of salinity in the area?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And but what relation to this pickleweed? So what they say was very, so let's, I wrote it down for you guys actually. So this is the electrical geophysical methods is what they are going to use to test the hypothesis. But what is the hypothesis of the plant? So let's see where I put it down there for you. So somewhere here. In blue is the hypothesis. I had to listen to that 5 times before I can write that accent. And who is talking? I have an accent, but anyway, I'm not criticizing the accent, but this is your hypothesis. Plants are thriving in areas of high salinity, and as salinity exerts a strong control on conductivity, map out areas of high salinity where pickleweed is thriving. And don't give these answers to any of your friends who are not here. Some of them have left, and you guys are suffering through this. So, but that's the answer that, and it's in your handout. So guys, I'm going to show you how to do the graph, and then we'll be done. So you can just finish up the little bit. So do you have your Excels there? Can you bring up your Excel? And the Excel already has the data, and you just use the data to, and it's a basic. So let me show you what you need to do there. So you need to, where did I put it? In your student handout. So let me stop this and go to the student handout and go to the Word, not Excel. Yeah, the Excel spreadsheet. So please bring up the Excel spreadsheet and share that. So I've given you this Excel spreadsheet, and what I want you to do is to follow these 4 steps. And so we have been talking about conductivity and salinity and resistivity and total salt content, dissolved salts. So these are connections. So we can measure these things, and then we can test our hypothesis through it. So I want you to follow these 4 steps to create Excel graphs. So we are going to create 3 of them. And if they are not linear, then we are going to do some log graphs. So can somebody take a lead and follow these 4 steps, what we are going to do? Here is your first set of data. You highlight those. Please bring up your Excel because I can't generate this for you. Then go to this step, which says insert. Go to the 3rd step that says recommended charts. And it gives you the option of the graphs, and you choose the option that you want. And in this case, you are going to choose the option which has scattered with the straight line. And so if you click on that, I mean, this is as simple as that. And you create that, and that's, here's the graph. So, but one thing you have to do is make sure that your graphs have units of what you have measured and the variables plotted on the graph axis. So this graph is kind of incomplete. You have to just put the information, and it's a straight line graph. So did you see what I did? Anybody wants to see it again?
Can you do it again, please?
All right, so follow me. So one thing I did was first I went to my data and I just highlighted the whole data there. And make sure you hold it down and have that whole thing covered. Now that you have done it, go to your 2nd step, which is go to the top menu and insert. And when you click insert, you will give this sub menu, and from that kind of move to the center to recommended charts. It kind of tells you, what, and then recommended charts, you click on that, and that gives you the graph options. So you can choose many graphs, so here are a lot of different types of graphs, but we want the one that is the scatter graph. So XY scatter plot, maybe recommended. It already gives you a recommended chart. So we want the top chart here, scatter plot with a line. So click on that graph and then say, okay, and you'll get the graph. And then to add these different things, which I need to do because it hasn't given me the axis yet. I can do it in several ways. I can just go and insert word art here and just say my x-axis is, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to be outside. I need to click outside, otherwise it goes inside the graph. and it doesn't give me a, so insert award art, let's say that one. Now I can go outside, and what is my x-axis? What has it plotted on the x-axis? It has plotted 5,000 to 45,000. That's the value here is the conductivity. So I take the conductivity value, and then this one, micro ohms or micromos, which is the opposite of, so copy that one, and I'm going to paste it there. So I got my x-axis and make it smaller. So that's my x-axis and the unit. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the y-axis. I need to give it a, turn it around and put an axis on that one. These things go down. Okay, so now the y-axis was TDS ppm, total dissolved solids. So copy that. I don't want that. I want instead this. Oops. So now it's complete. Now I have a graph that has the x-axis, y-axis clearly marked. And I can now copy this whole thing. Here is the whole thing highlighted. I can copy it and I can paste it in my Word document. So which I want for my, or you can just copy it here. And because this graph moves, you can move this graph and you can, it's still a live graph. If you want to make it a picture, then you go there and right click on it, and you will see at the end, there is a picture file that you can create right there. I generally do that. Now it's a picture file. I can't change that. All of that information has been included in there. I can make it bigger and smaller, but I can't, now this graph is still kind of moving. So I can't do that with this graph. It's all fixed. So it's a picture file. I can take this picture file and I put it in my Word document. So I can copy it and just put that Word document, go back to the Word document last page. And I have created a folder there, a table, and just go and paste it in the table, and that diagram will be there. So that's your first one. So that's what I did. And do there are three parameters, so you need to do 3 graphs. So let me go back to that diagram again, Excel. All right, so that's the first one. Now you guys do the second one. Let me also show you how to do the second one. So see, look what happens when I do the second one, and everybody do with me. So go and highlight the second set of data, go to insert, go to recommended charts, and it gives you a option. But look, this is not a linear graph. So I'm going to still choose that option. I want linear graph because exponential graphs doesn't carry the same meaning as linear graph. So how can I make an exponential graph linear? Does anybody know? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this axis, right click on it, and I'm going to format that axis. I'm going to go to the format axis and I'm going to choose, look in the right hand side, I got that option. I'm going to choose a logarithmic scale. When I say logarithmic scale, that's one side has become straight. Now I'm going to go to the other axis and I'm going to again do logarithmic scale. I got a straight line. So, and you can choose the values of the axis. So I can cut it down. So it starts at 1. It seems like the lowest value is 1000. If I make this one 1000, then my graph will become bigger. So if I say 1000, so now I have a much bigger graph, and I can also cut out the bottom part, which is 100 to 0. I don't need that. So if I get rid of that, that's the major axis. This one, I don't need this amount. So I'm going to go to 100. I'm just now formatting to suit my data, what I want. So now you can see, and if you want more lines in between, you just go here. So if you do a log-log graph, exponential graph becomes a straight line graph. That's what I just showed you. It's not anything tricky, but it's just something we use in science to show relationship which is linear. I can see which one is going up and which one is going down in that scale. So I'm going to put some, you can use many tick marks and all this stuff. You can play around with this a little bit, but make sure you have the same way the graphs level. So you want to include two graphs here. One that is non-linear, the one that we started with, and then the one that we made linear. So linear graphs gives us the slope, and we can say that as resistivity increases, salinity decreases. So see, it's a reverse relation. In the first one, as conductivity increases, salinity increases. So this is how you interpret this. So a positive slope means one increases, other increases. A negative slope means one increases, other decreases. That's why we wanted to do a linear graph. So this is a negative slope, that's a positive slope. And the last one is for you to explore conductivity and resistivity. If you get a slope that is slanted, then you make it straight by doing a log-log graph. That brings us to the end of the lab. I'm going to sit back and now be here. And as long as you want me to be, if you want to finish it, I'm here. If you want to carry it and join me another day, you have all my information. I can help you again to finish up within the week. But I'm here, so let me know. Did you guys want me to show any of these again? And I've not taken the role yet. So I'm going to take the role after I've finished all my lecture. So
Okay.
Sorry?
Should I make the graph linear?
Linear graph. Which one? The second one or the first one?
The second one.
All right. So let's do it again. So you have to start with the values. So go ahead and highlight the values. All right. So once you have done it, same way, go to the second step, which is insert. Once you have inserted it, go to the middle and say recommended charts. And it gives you the options. And then you choose the option that is your exponential graph. And you say, okay. Now you want to include this graph also because this is your first graph. All right, now how do I change an exponential graph to a linear graph? So I showed you that if you go and click on that axis and then right click on it, I just click to highlight it and right click on it, then I get this format axis menu. I click the format axis menu, and on the right hand side, it comes up with these options, and I go and choose a logarithmic scale. And half of the graph becomes logarithmic, half of the graph is still exponential. I mean, still straight line. So now to change the other one, I change the x-axis. Now let me change the y-axis. I click on the axis and then right click on it to bring up the format axis menu. And go to the right hand side, go down and choose the logarithmic scale. And you get the logarithmic scale that gives you log axis, log graph, that is a straight line graph. And then you just play around with the axis values to make it a more bigger graph. Cut out the part that is not needed. That's how we do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking questions. Very exciting. So now you see what geoscientists might do and what how they're relevant to our lives and how we don't understand till we do the science. And general public is very intolerant of science. I don't know why. But science is a process that is slow and it takes time and confusing because we confuse it more with these things that we do. All right, you have one more graph to make. So other than these two graphs, so you have 5 graphs to put in that report. So 3 of these will generate 3 graphs and 2 of them will be exponential graphs. So those 2 graphs, like I have it here, those 2 graphs will have a linear component. So that's one I've shown and you do the other one. Just make sure you use the values and then cut out the rest of it and use the axis and the units.
When is this due? When do you want us to turn this in?
1 week. Next
1 week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next
And
week.
we email it to you or we turn this in through Mr. Matt?
You upload it in the same Dropbox you downloaded this information from in D2L.
Okay.
You just upload it there. Because you cannot really, you can give the handout by hand, but you have to upload this Excel graph and your Word document if you have done it. So, so better if you just upload it there and we can download it. And anytime, and in between this time, if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll be around. Most of you got it done? Any question you can ask. Any question you can ask, you can ask. No good or bad question. I mean, all questions are good, not bad. You can put your question in the chat box also if you want. Taylor, you have a question?
No, just working.
Picking on Taylor because I know her. You get most of it done?
Yeah, for the most part. I'm at work right now,
Okay.
so just been in and out.
Yeah, just if you need help, just let me know. And this is for everybody. Just if you are not you get it, the whole thing done, you still have a week to kind of think about it, and then if you have specific questions, just ask. How did you get the little titles on the side of it? Okay, sure. Let's look at it. You can still see the Excel, right? My Excel graph. So look what I did. So I wanted this graph to be labels, the ones that this one, the second one I did was resistivity in ohms and TDS in parts per million. So what I wanted to do was, I went there in the top menu and I went to insert. And if you go to insert and then you scroll down to the very right to the word art and click on that word art, and you get these options on the drop down menu. So select any one of them. I mean, I'm a scientist, I'm not going to be here. You can do some So choose one of them. So that box comes up, but if you click on that box, see what I again did, this box is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay within the graph. I can move it. If you can do anything within the graph, but you can move it. I want the, so make sure that when you insert that, you have clicked outside the graph. Otherwise, by default, it takes the clicker inside the graph, and then it's going to only give you the word box inside the graph. So if you click it outside, then go to this insert and do a word art, any one of these. So I can now move this to anywhere I want. So move it there, and then just whatever you want. We want resistivities. Let's see which one is on the x-axis. And whichever is on the x-axis when we plotted it. So put resistivity, copy that. You write it, copy it. I'm lazy, so I copy and paste everything. So I just took that and I pasted it. So it's resistivity in ohms. So just play around with the size of this thing a little bit. And you should also play around with the axis a little bit so that it becomes a much more meaningful graph. All this wasted space just eats into the graph. It hides the information. So I just played around with the format axis and cut out this blank space. And then I get this, and you can put more lines in there, which you should. I have just the tick marks. So if you want these lines, all you do is just click on these things and just go ahead and make these numbers bigger if you want, so it's more readable. You can now see the lines in them. Just click something. So make the graph as nice and as, if you are going to present this to your boss at work for, the work they are asking you to do. You want presentation, guys. This is what I've learned. Some of these people I have come across are very ordinary scientists, but they have learned how to just make their PowerPoints and their, presentation. And presentation, it is a big thing. So we don't spend any time, doing presentations. Like we just, okay, we are scientists. We got the data. No, but and that's where I think scientists falls behind, and can't, they don't, people just don't take them, seriously, because we don't take the time to explain what we have done to my grandma or to my little niece. We just did all these graphs, whatever it means, and we just leave it there, and people are just like, what is this? So if you want to take a little time, so if you understand this, then make this, a little nicer and bigger. And there are a lot of things you can play around. And actually this graph people also gives you some options here, I think. When you first do it, if you go to the format thingy, I think, let me see. There are some graph options that comes up at some point. Yeah, see in the design, they also already have designs that you can choose. And if you want to make this, if you have to just play around with these things, you can make these things colored and, I mean, all these things are important, I think. My graphs, I spend a little time after I've done the science for my presentations. I have taught myself, and everything I shared with you guys is self-taught. You can do it yourself. That's what I'm saying. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not no genius or just at it, just trying to learn. YouTube is there. YouTube knows everything. You just ask for a video and it shows you how to do it. Just have to do it. So you can do all these different textures and different things, and anything that can set you, just doing one thing. Just if you do just one thing more to this graph than anybody else in the class, you automatically get shifted to the next higher grade. I'm telling you this. If some student gives me something other than what I have plotted on this board, I'm going to look at that student as already staved out for me. You have formatted the axis. You have formatted the graph. For every instructor, this is the truth. If you just want that one step further than anything being asked, even if you have put the thing, this report in a 25 cents little paper thing, like a folder, and given it to, hey, that's an A versus a B. How do you stand out from the rest of people? I mean, everybody's doing the same thing, but what makes you that special? Not very time consuming. I'm just putting into a folder or doing this graph. I mean, look how much time I spent. I didn't have to spend anything. So everybody's clicking on nothing. I'm just clicked on something that is different. And I just become different and good. That's a trick. Remember that. That's a life trick, I'm telling you. And then you can also, if you want to know these values, you can just go and right click on them and add data levels. And it gives you the data, actually. What data you have plotted from here, this chart now is actually populated in the graph. So if you make this graph bigger, you can see these values, actually what these values were plotted. You can, and that's helpful. Now instead of, if I need to know the values, I can also know those, what numbers I had plotted and all that. So you can see I can make them bigger, and I can change the size of the graph. I can read these values, so the graph takes a life of its own. And if this is and this is of course information, you're doing science to save this plant from, you're trying to understand everything about it. So you might want to show that graphically too. So these are the values that you plotted. These are the axes. I put this, my information here. This is looking like a nice graph now. I just need to make this axis bigger. And then I go in here and I say, put some more, add minor grid lines. So now you can see the grid lines there. I can go to here and add more grid lines. So see, there are now it looks like it's a graph. If you see, the graph paper was missing. Now you can see the graphs here. And so I can make these lines. Now it's just a matter of how much time. I'm not saying you put time on this, but if this is your work, and most of us are now presenting these things online, and you're working in whatever, Dow Jones Industrial, like in Walmart, Wall Street, Walmart, all of a graph everywhere. So Excel is a very interesting, easy to format. So just do it if you want to. Weight of these things, I can make them much bigger. Color change, I can make them glow if I want to, whatever I want. I don't want glows, so take them. I can make this one glow. Anyway, so that's my, let's see, I can make this bevel, but one tall and big. 6. There you go. That's my trend. Nice, huh? Look at the graph standing out. So it took like 2 seconds more. Anything else I can show you again, or anything else you want? Any of the other questions you can ask? The major thing missing in this graph is the axis. What are these axes? I have plotted some 1,000, 10,000 of what, and that's where I need these axis things to come in. Because that is the copy that one, paste, copy, paste that one. So now this one is going to come on top of this. Yes. Put it there. Right. Yeah, so this is one in this side, and then you need one on that side. Is this a positive slope or a negative slope? Because the one thing that you have to do at the end is, let me go to the stop share this and show you the last thing. What you have to turn in is this Word document with the graphs inserted, or you can just give the Excel But let me show you what you need to write though. You need to write a line about, what did this share? All right, so you need to write at the end. So see here, I brought in the graph. It says parameters plotted. So I plotted here. So your answer would be in this one, TDS in ppm, and then ppm versus whatever you plotted versus conductivity in micromoles. So those are the two things I plotted. And then what would I write about these? What would you write? Micromoles. M-O-H, not B. Okay, what would you write about this graph? So this is done. It's written here. It says brief synopsis of trends or relationships observed between two parameters plotted. What observation do I see here? All lines in two parameters, all lines represents a slope. Slopes means if is it a positive slope, if one increases, the other increases. Is that true here? When it's 5,000, it's 5,000. When it's 10,000, it's 10,000. When it's 15,000, so it's a positive slope. So I will write here between TDS and the pattern I see is a positive slope. So positive slope, very little, so positive slope, and with one increases, when that means conductivity and TDS are positively correlated. Conductivity and TDS are positively correlated. So that means as one increase, the other increase. When you have a decreasing graph, one increase, the other decrease. That's a negative correlation. That's it. Correlation. I can read off these trends and I can read off this. So visually, I can now see what happens when these things happen. So if total salinity solids are more present in the ground, the conductivity of the electrical current is going to be more. So solids and conductivity are connected positively. More solids, more conductive. That's what it means. You guys have been good. You guys stayed put and got it done. And any other question you can ask? So now let me see if you are here on the chat box, say you are present. When you get a chance. Xavier, Ashley, let's see. Mahogany, Rhino. All right. You guys are definitely present. You have sat through this for 2.5 hours. It was a pleasure meeting you and really good working with you. It's good. And finishing up, if you have any question, please contact me. We can do a little Zoom session or anything you want. Alexander is present. India is present. Otis is present. Okay. Definitely you guys were present. So I'm going to make sure Dr. Mack knows about it. So if you guys are finishing up, I'm here for another half an hour or so. You know, we have time. When you're ready to go, just tell me. I think finishing up is good. Then you're get done and then not to worry about this again. I hope you learned something and had fun. Anything, guys? Any more? Anything you want? I mean, I'm not finishing up, but I'm here, so let me know.
Do we have to put in all the graphs on this bottom part?
You need to put 5 graphs.
5, okay.
3 of them are the direct ones, and then 2 of them will come out as exponential, so make them log, and that gives you the 5 graphs.
Okay.
I need to stop the recording, but I'm here, so chat.
How do you add the graph to the bottom?
Say one more time.
How do you add the graph
To the
to the worksheet, the PDF?
to the how did I bring it from Excel to the Word document?
Yes.
Okay, so what you do is in the Excel, so I want this graph, right? Once you have made the graph, you can click on the graph, so you see the graph being highlighted. So you can just click, go to copy from there, and it has copied actually. So now you have 2 options, whether you want to bring this graph, so I'll show you. So I'm going to take this graph from here. First, let me show you this one. This graph still is live, so it moves. So if I want to make a picture out of this graph, all I'm doing is clicking it anywhere, but right-clicking it. So I right-click this, I get this drop-down menu, right? And from the drop-down menu, if I go,
I can't see it. For some reason.
Cannot see this. You
Right,
can
still-
what in the screen? Let me see. Make it
Still showing the PDF screen.
Oh, okay. Let me hold on. Stop share. Let me go to share screen, and I'm going to show you the Excel. Okay, share this. Now, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go to the Excel one, and then you go ahead and copy this. Now, hold on. So copy this, and I right click on the graph, and gives me this option, and I copy it. And then outside it, I right click again, and it gives me this option. I choose the third one here. 1, 2, 3. And the third one is a picture file it creates. So I click on that one and I save this as a picture. So now the difference between these 2 files are, this is a picture file and this one is not a picture file. Do you see? This is actually makes all the numbers, clumsy. And so this moves, this still moves, in direct, but this one doesn't. So once you have created this picture file, you can just copy this one, copy, and then take it to the Word document and paste it.
Let me see.
So highlight this graph. So again, see this graph is there. Highlight this graph.
Wait, can you do the first graph? Like, so I do the first graph.
Which one now? let me move this. So this graph.
Yes.
Okay, so this graph is, so this is a linear graph. So this is the easiest one. So you go here and go and highlight the values. And
Oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm talking about just copying.
Okay, so here, okay, here's the graph, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go there and just copy it, just copy the graph. And once you have highlighted, just copy the graph. And then to make a picture file out of it, this is what I do. I click outside the graph, somewhere in the body of the, I click it there, right? And now right click it, and it gives you these three options. And then you choose the option that is the picture file. And now I made the picture file out of it. So now this graph is not going to move anywhere. So now I copy this one and paste it there. You can also copy this graph and take it to Word, but that graph in Word is still going to be like a live graph, and it's very difficult to control those. So if you just make a picture file out of it and then take it to the Word, then it stays as a Word, I mean a picture file. So copy this. Only thing that you need to remember is copy this outside the graph, right click, and you get these three options, and then choose the last one that creates the picture file. You get it? You can share your screen with me. I can see if you are doing it right. I can give you the option to share screen.
Okay, give me a second.
Then give you the. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to give you the share. You can, anybody can share now. Any one of you can show me your screen or anything you want to do. Go ahead and show it. I just gave you guys the control tool. Okay, share, okay.
So just copy this.
Copy it and yeah, copy that. And then outside the graph, right click on there. Right click. Yep, that's the third option. There you go. There's your picture file.
And just take it to the Word.
Yeah, if this one is not still done, you need to get the x-axis and the y-axis. So make sure all of that is copied.
Like how you copy all of it, like
Just highlight it from outside, yeah, like that. Make sure you know, yeah. So
what's that doing? Okay, there you go.
You can also group them.
How you group them?
All right, so let me see if I can't do anything to your, you use this go to format, highlight whatever you want to group, highlight the things that you want to group, okay? Now let them come up first. Let it go, and then go to format. Not like that, you have to highlight it differently. Let me see, can I stop your share?
Well, you can control it.
I cannot control it. I cannot control your screen. I'm only viewing your screen. You stop it. I can show you mine how to do it. But you don't have to do. You just take this TDS.
You can turn on screen.
Okay. So you highlight this. Okay, make this smaller first. It's too big. How did you did you have to give me control to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay. So look, this one and this one, make them this. All right. So you go there and okay. Now I take this one, I highlight, and I'm holding down the Shift key.
Okay.
Highlighting that one, and the graph. These three I want. I want this to be grouped. So I go there and I go to the home. I think through home, shape format. Let's see. And you go to group. And, and then this thing, just a second, and it will become, it didn't take it. Group. I think you have to do it. because I can't click on here group. Okay, now you see that this has become a group. It moves as a group.
Okay.
So now if you copy this and create a picture file, then it will come as a picture file.
All right.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, so that one is one group file, and then you can copy that one. Yeah, and then what I showed you, click outside and right click. Yeah, that's and now this one is very easy to take it to the Word file and just paste it there.
To paste it.
Yeah, just take that one and paste it in one of the table boxes. All right, excellent. And just write a one sentence about that this is a positive slope. That means as TDS increases, conductivity increases.
Okay. And what's the last two graphs? You said we need 5.
So this is one, right? The other two, so this is the top one. And
Yeah.
then you have 2 other tables. So those 2 will generate 2 other graphs. And those 2 would be non-linear graphs. So from that, you have to generate 2 log-log graphs.
2.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I did the other 2. I just think.
What do you mean by other? I see one, resistivity, and then one would be with resistivity and conductivity.
This one?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I had to fix these.
Get rid of some of this dead space for the graphs area. So between 1 and 1000, you don't need that value. So format the axis, the x-axis. Click on the x-axis, right click.
The x-axis?
Yeah, right click on the x-axis, and then you will see format axis. Yes. And now on the right hand side, go and minimum and maximum. Take the minimum value to 100 or 1000 here on the top. Go to the top right there. Change of 1 to 1000 because you don't have any values below 1000. And the top value now, yeah. So see, now the graph has become. Also on the y-axis, you have no values below 1000. So you
do the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Cut out the values below 1000, and then the graph will it take out more points where you see. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is a much more cleaner, broader graph, and you can add if you want, axis and all that, minor grid lines. So go to here and just click on this y-axis. Just right here, come here, and on the right hand side, and click on the minor grid axis. Tick marks. Go to the tick marks here.
I can't see.
Something I didn't see.
Let me expand this.
Okay. This is a okay. This is still a live graph, or is it a picture file? If you do a picture file, then you cannot change anything. And your title should be resistivity versus conductivity. See the title? Resistivity is fine, but versus or VS conductivity. Resistivity in ohms. Go by after ohms. No, ohms is good. Okay, yeah. Resistivity in ohms versus conductivity in micromoles. Or resistivity versus conductivity is great.
That one.
Excellent. That gives you a direct. Yeah. So you have 1, 2, 3.
I got 3 graphs.
No, so three graphs, but the linear graphs, you are the non-linear graphs, those are two graphs. Before you make them into a straight line, when you first generate them,
Oh, those two is different. Oh, okay, I see now. Okay.
those two are other two graphs. Highlight again and just do that same thing, and the values, yeah, those are your other graphs. And you can use the same values, the title. Yeah, there you go. That's one. Just copy and paste the x-axis on the y-axis. No, you're making a straight line graph again. You don't need to you want to keep the graph.
Keep the graphs like that, like four or like this.
You know, you want two graphs that are non-linear. Yeah, right, just like that. That's the original graph. Then you change to log scale, then it becomes. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you. I mean, look at my examples. Go back to this needs to be written in log conductivity. This is not just conductivity. Go to my example. Let me see how I've written I have given you actual Word. Go back to the Word document. Yes, Word document in the end where the graph is. I've shown you how the axis should be written. You have to write the axis as log resistivity and log for the straight line graphs. They are not just regular values. Let me show you that. Yes, if I show you the not that one, this. Where's my Word document? That's Google Earth. That's Acrobat. Where did my Word document go? Okay, no, not that. Oh, here's my Word document. Yes, share. Okay, so now look. So if you go to that, your this is what I wrote down here. So this is how the graph should look. And this is, if it's a linear graph, I mean non-linear graph, then it's resistivity versus TDS. But as soon as you take the log, you have to write that as log resistivity versus log TDS.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because they are not linear things you're plotting. Straight line should be log if that was out of a curved graph. What's your major?
Media studies.
Really? You are this good in science? Wow. Excellent. And I'm sure you guys have to do a lot of graphing in media studies too.
Yeah, we do.
Good stuff to know. It's good stuff to learn. Excel in any product of the Word family is Microsoft Office family is a good thing to know. All of these are very valuable.
I think I know what to do for the rest. And where do we turn it in? Like we turn it.
You just upload it in the same folder you downloaded it from.
Same for okay.
You know, the same Dropbox. In D12.
Okay. I'm about to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
But thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Have a good day, guys. Thanks. And I'm signing it off. So this was a good lab. Students stayed till It's now 5:50. We started at 3:15. And I am going to sign off now.